thinking. Critical thinking is applying what you know to a situation you find yourself in order to make an independent decision. Critical thinking requires a clear understanding of what is happening around you and what your role is in a given situation. Critical thinking is very important to resolving conflict. Conflict in healthcare. Conflicts commonly occur between nurses, physicians and nurses, patients and healthcare providers, friends and/or relatives and healthcare providers, and other health professionals. There are benefits of conflict. Conflict can increase awareness of problems, improve ability to cope with problems, initiate change in the workplace, strengthen relationships and improve morale, promote awareness of self and others, enhance personal growth. Let's check out the steps to conflict resolution. Questions to ask when conflict arises. 1. What is the conflict? 2. Who is affected by the conflict? 3. What are the main issues underlying the conflict? And 4. How did this conflict arise? Let's consider an example and put these questions to use. It's the lunch hour and one of your residents, Mr. Smith, is refusing to go to lunch. Two of your other residents have already been in the lunchroom for 15 minutes, and lunch only lasts for 30 minutes. The other nurses in your section are all busy and cannot help Mr. Smith. Time is ticking by, and before you know it, lunch is over. Mr. Smith is telling you he's hungry and ready to go eat, but you need to go pick up your other two residents from the dining room. You inform Mr. Smith his lunch will be delivered to his room. On your way to the lunchroom, you notice a distressed resident who needs assistance. Do you stop and help the resident even though you have two residents waiting for you in the dining room? You know stopping will slow down the process in the dining room because new residents cannot be admitted to eat until there is space. You decide to tend to the resident. When you are finished, you see your coworker escorting your other two residents back from lunch. Your coworker is visibly upset when she sees you and angrily tells you to do your job. What do you say to her, and how do you handle this conflict? Applying the steps of conflict resolution is important to do. Let's ask ourselves, 1. What is the conflict? Your coworker is angry and tells you to do your job. 2. Who is affected by the conflict? Residents at the long-term care facility, your coworkers, and yourself as a CNA. 3. What are the main issues underlying the conflict? Disruption of daily activities, completing tasks not asked of you, and not following through on your tasks. Number 4. How did this conflict arise? Mr. Smith refused to head to lunch. Let's look at resolving this conflict. What do you say to your coworker to resolve the conflict? Ask your colleague to speak in private when she has a moment. Before giving her an explanation and reacting defensively, ask her to explain why she's feeling upset. Give her time to explain. After her explanation, acknowledge that you understand her frustration. Politely describe the circumstances and ask if you could respond differently if the situation were to arise in the future. Before moving on, make sure you are both on the same page and the conflict has been resolved. Now let's take some time to review. When was critical thinking used to resolve the conflict? You realized that Mr. Smith would not calm down in time for lunch, so you decided to have his food delivered after the regular lunch hour. You showed informal leadership by helping another CNA's resident.